Good morning. I want to pick up in 2 Timothy 3 where we left off, where Paul is talking to Timothy and warning him about false teachers that were leading some women astray. And so in verse 8 and 9 we read of chapter 3, just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also oppose the truth, men corrupted in mind and disqualified regarding the faith. But they'll not get very far, for their folly will be plain to all, as was that of those two men. So Jannes and Jambres, who are they? Well, in the Old Testament, we see that Moses and Aaron went before Pharaoh and did signs and wonders, hoping to get Pharaoh to release God's people, to show that God was at work through them. And the magicians mimicked what Moses and Aaron did, you'll remember. But the names Jannes and Jambres do not show up in the Old Testament. Instead, they show up in what's called a Jewish Targum, or a Jewish commentary inserted around Exodus 7:11. And so this letter from Paul is picking up on the Jewish Targum, highlighting these two men and saying, look, they opposed Moses. Well, how did they oppose Moses? Well, they opposed Moses by counterfeiting the signs, by doing those very same things that Moses and Aaron were doing. And so the point that Paul is making when he says, just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also oppose the truth, he's saying, look, they're trying to counterfeit the truth. They're trying, like Irenaeus a few centuries later would point out, the false teachers try to make the truth truer than truth itself. They try to take the truth and mask it and say, no, we've just got a little more. A little more. It's supplemental. It's not contradictory. But Paul is sniffing that out. And Paul says, listen, these guys are not going to get very far. They're disqualified regarding the faith, which actually literally in the Greek means they failed the test concerning the faith. Because the test concerning the faith is that you don't add to the doctrine of God's grace things that take away from the doctrine of God's grace. And so he says they're not going to get very far, for their folly will be plain to all. That is, God will expose them. So listen, our job is to make sure we test truth. Our job is to measure it according to the Word of God. Our job is to make sure that we don't go beyond the gospel of grace and add something to it, and we have good truth sniffers to sniff that out. God will, in His time, make His truth plain to all. It'll be put out and very clear. Hey, listen, think about that this week. May the Lord bless you and encourage you as you walk throughout the rest of your day, thinking about what qualifies for truth and what doesn't qualify for truth. Have a good day.